I'll just discuss the same kind of information that Jen just went through, but for National Grid territory communities. So for the utility-owned pathway option, it is currently available in National Grid territory and has been since June of last year. They do charge the stranded asset fee based on the average net book value of your current life now, which is determined on a case-by-case basis. So we've seen a wide range of what this number could be, as low as $49 per light to as high as $399 per light. So it really is a case-by-case type of figure that you will need to request from National Grid. But they have been able to provide these figures to us relatively quickly. Really hasn't taken more than a couple of weeks for them to get back to us, at most, with these figures for the utility-owned option. In National Grid's case, all of the energy prices for the supply and delivery of the LED options are lower than what you are currently paying for your existing lights, but all of the LED facility fees are actually higher than your existing lights. And National Grid's rationale for that is that they have to pay more up front to purchase the LEDs than they currently do for the high pressure sodium or other types of lights that they may use. So in order to recover those costs over time, those monthly facility fees are higher. The bill reductions because of this are usually only between 10 and 20% after the stranded asset costs are included, even though the energy savings themselves in terms of kilowatt hour savings are in the range of 70 to 80%. And again, that's because the facility fees do increase. So your actual bill dollar savings are only going to be between 10 and 20%, which is similar to what Jen was discussing as far as the proposed NYSEG tariff. One other thing I wanted to mention about this utility-owned option for National Grid is that while Jen was mentioning before with the other utilities, they have that percentage that they will convert per year. National Grid has a similar but slightly different method of deciding how many lights per year they will convert, and it's not based on a percentage per municipality. It's actually I believe it's 15% of all of their street lights throughout New York State that they will convert per year. So if a community asks to convert their street lights, typically they would request, if they were a smaller community, they would request converting all of their street lights, and National Grid would happily do that, and in fact requires a conversion of at least 15% of their lights or 100 lights, whichever is greater. So, but they do have a cap like the other utilities, but it's just based on all of their street lights as opposed to street lights per municipality for what they will convert each year.
So I just wanted to mention that actually NYSEG has proposed the same, which is different from the other utilities, which do it on a municipality by municipality.
Right. Okay, next slide, please. So the Municipal Pathway in National Grid territory is a little more uncertain because nobody in National Grid territory has yet purchased their street lights and converted to LEDs. In fact, I think National Grid said the other day that nobody has purchased their street lights at all, regardless of converting to LEDs. So these figures that you see on this slide are all based on discussions that we are currently having with National Grid and some of the municipalities in central New York. So, nothing is really certain yet, but this is what we're seeing so far. So based on the numbers we've seen, we estimate annual bill reductions for the municipal ownership model of 75 to 85% versus the 10 to 20% under the utility-owned LED option. And the payback period on investment we're estimating at about 5 to 10 years, depending on your utility purchase price, which in National Grid is significantly higher than what Jen mentioned for NYSEG of $250 per streetlight. What we've seen quoted for municipalities in National Grid territory is significantly higher. Unfortunately, I can't share any of those numbers with you exactly at the moment because they are all subject to non-disclosure agreements, which the other municipalities do not have in place. But once any purchases do go through the Public Service Commission approval process, it will become public knowledge. So at that point, we'll be able to share what the actual prices are. But just be rest assured that you can expect to see a much higher number, at least upon their initial purchase price quote. But that is to say that you can still negotiate with National Grid, and we're in the process of some negotiations now. Not exactly sure how much National Grid will be willing to work with the municipalities, but of course it is something that you should at least work with your, whoever is assisting you in this process, or with your municipal officials and the utility to come to an agreement that works for both of you. Next slide, please. So if you do decide that the municipal ownership option is the right option for your community, the purchase of the streetlight system, like I was just saying, is negotiated between the utility and municipality. And there are some, this is a streamlined process with some required timeframes and requirements that the Public Service Commission set forth in November of 2015. So next slide, please. So the first step is for the municipality to request your purchase price quote. The utility then has 90 days to respond with that quote. And at least in National Grid territory, it has been taking them the full 90 days to respond. So I wouldn't, I would make sure to put that into your timeline when you're considering, how long this whole process could take. They have been taking that full 90 days. Then the town will notify the utilities within 180 days that they want to proceed with purchasing their streetlight systems. There is a negotiation period here with the utility. So what we've heard from the utilities basically is that you don't have to fully commit and have an agreement on what that exact purchase price will be upon that 180-day period ending, but you do have to at least discuss with the utility that you are planning to move forward, just letting them know that you're still interested in purchasing, and you can continue with those negotiations. Once the utility and the municipality reach an agreement on a purchase price, they will enter into an operating agreement, and in most cases also an attachment agreement, a pole attachment agreement, so where the utility is still most likely going to own most of the poles, the municipality will be owning, the streetlights that are attached onto those poles, and so the utility has certain requirements that the municipality will have to agree to ahead of time. And then the Public Service Commission will have to approve this sale, and Jen, I think you can go into some more detail again about what that entails.